it's Lindsay. Welcome back to The Wandering Reader. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I did this tag on my channel a couple of years ago and it's a great one to do at this particular time in the year to kind of review exactly kind of how your reading's going and things like that. And actually when I sat down to answer some of these questions, it did make me reflect a little bit on how my reading has been going, so it did the trick. So I will leave a link to the original videos down below. I believe they were co-creators. I wasn't tagged by anybody specifically as far as I'm aware anyway, but just thought I would take this opportunity to do it. We're coming towards the end of June now. So there are 14 questions. Let's jump in. Question number 1 is best book that you've read so far this year, and for me that is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I didn't actually give this book 5 stars, and in fact the only book that I've given 5 stars to this year is What About the Burqa. So that was a series of essays from Muslim women living in the Western world. And although I gave that 5 stars, I wouldn't say it's a favourite. It was just obviously very, very impactful. Daisy Jones and the Six I really did enjoy. I thought it was well written. I liked the style of the book and the characters in there. So I did a review of this on my channel, so I will leave a link to that if you want to go hear a few more thoughts on it. But basically, if you're not aware, which I'm pretty sure most of you will be because loads of people have been talking about it, Daisy Jones and the Six is set in the 70s and it follows a band called Daisy Jones and the Six, and they're making this album during the course of the book, and it is written in interview format, and each member of the band and other people are sort of telling you what happened at different moments with the making of this album. So yeah, that's my favourite book that I've read this year. Question number 2 is best sequel that you've read so far this year, and for that I'm going to go with Maybe This Christmas by Sarah Morgan. I think I read this month, so I haven't talked about it in a wrap up yet. This is the 3rd book in the O'Neill Brothers series, or the Snow Crystal trilogy, and it follows, the whole trilogy follows a family who own a ski resort, and the ski resort isn't doing particularly well, so they kind of are doing different things to save it basically. This is the 3rd book in the trilogy. It follows Tyler and Brenna, and Tyler and Brenna have been friends ever since they were little, but Brenna has been in love with Tyler for as long as she can remember, but she's never done anything about it because she doesn't want to ruin their friendship. And it's about their love story basically. I love Sarah Morgan, you guys know that, and as I was reading this I kind of was able to put my finger on a little bit more why I love her writing so much, especially her later writing, and it's just because she creates such good tension in her romance stories. So I really feel emotionally connected to the characters. I really feel that kind of sexual tension and the spark between the characters building up, and I'm just so invested in the story basically. So yeah, this, like all of the more recent ones that Sarah Morgan has written, was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and I would recommend this trilogy, the Puffin Island trilogy, the From Manhattan with Love series. Brilliant. Question number 3 is new release that's come out this year that you haven't read yet, and I'm going to talk, there are obviously loads of things that you could talk about for this question, but I'm going to talk about The Bride Test, and this is by Helen Hoang. I recently picked up a copy of this on my Kindle after listening to a few other booktubers talk about it. I knew it was coming out this year, but I've heard a few different booktubers now say really good things about it, and I really enjoyed Helen Hoang's first book, which was called The Kiss Quotient. And in the second book, just like in the first book, we've got like an autistic main character, so the rep in these books that she's written has been really good so far. So like I said, I picked up a copy of The Bride Test really cheap on my Kindle. I was able to get a copy, so yeah, and I'm really looking forward to reading that one. Question number 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and I'm going to talk about A Wedding in December by Sarah Morgan. I do have an ARC of this. I was lucky enough to receive one when I went to a HQ event at the beginning of this week, and yeah, this is coming out I believe in October. Does it say on here? Yeah, October 2019. And this is about an older couple whose daughter is getting married, and the older couple are having some real problems in their marriage, and they've actually decided to split up, but they don't want to split up before their daughter's wedding and for everything to kind of be spoiled because of it, or for things to be different, so they decide to pretend like everything's okay, and they go to this wedding and it's about what happens when they're there. So yeah, I mean, again, love Sarah Morgan, love some of her more contemporary stuff that she's doing now, and I love the fact that this is centred around an older couple. We don't get an awful lot of that in the romance genre, so yeah, really looking forward to reading this. Question number 5 is biggest disappointment of the year, and for me that is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I don't have a copy of this anymore, I unhauled it, but this is a literary fiction book that was getting a lot of buzz at the end of last year, and in fact I picked up a special edition of it in Waterstones. Shouldn't really do that without reading the book, but anyway I did. It follows 2 characters who are in the last kind of year of secondary school. They live in Ireland, and it's about the relationship between the 2 of them as they finish off secondary school and as they go to university. And yeah, I didn't really like it that much. I could see what Sally Rooney was trying to do, but I just think it wasn't for me basically. So yeah, there was a lot of buzz around it, so I really thought that it was going to be something that I might enjoy, and I really didn't. So Question number 6 is biggest surprise of the year, and I'm going to talk about Virgin River by Robin Carr. This is the first book in the Virgin River series, I think. And the reason why this was a surprise for me is because I started reading one of her other books called, what's it called? What We Find, which is the first book in the Sullivan's Crossing series. And I was quite disappointed by the beginning of it. It was very info dumpy, it wasn't written very well. And I don't know whether this one was written before Virgin River or after. But I wasn't really enjoying it that much. It's still sort of on my reading now list on Goodreads, which you know, I'll try to finish it off, because I'd actually got an ARC of the second book in that series, so I really wanted to read the first book first. But yeah, so I was pleasantly surprised by Virgin River. Virgin River follows, am I going to be able to remember? Nope. Okay, so it follows Mel, who is a nurse, and she's moving up to Virgin River from her home in Chicago. She wants a fresh start. She's grieving the loss of her husband. He died very recently. She is a bit sick of nursing in an inner city where, you know, there's a lot of knife crime and drug crime, and you know, it's all a bit too much for her. So she decides that what would be really good for her is to move to a small town in the middle of nowhere. And, you know, country life's going to do her the power of good and all of this kind of stuff. So at the beginning of the book, she arrives in Virgin River. The cabin that she's been promised to stay in is really run down and decrepit, and you know, she knows that she can't stay there. But so yeah, she has to stay somewhere else. And what keeps her staying there rather than leaving is that this baby is dropped off on the doorstep of the local doctor's surgery. Oh, I've lost my bracelet, sorry. Okay, and so that the baby keeps her there. They don't know who the baby belongs to or why it's been dropped or whatever, so she stays for a little while to look after the baby. She meets Jack. Jack owns the bar across the street from the doctor's surgery. And it's about the relationship between the two of them. And I thought this one was quite well written. It had some lovely characters. I liked the setting. I liked some of the issues that were discussed during the book. And like I said, making comparisons between that and the other Robin Carr book that I was reading, I was pleasantly surprised by this one. Okay, question number 7 is favourite new author this year. There was a few I could have picked from, but I'm going to go with Rachel Van Dicken. I've read 2 books by her this year. I've read Risky Play, I think, and Kicking It, which are the first 2 books in her Red Card series. So she is a contemporary romance author, and these are football romances, and they're really well written, really steamy, liked the characters in them, and liked, yeah, just the way that the story was weaved together. So I've got a number of other of her books on my Kindle that I'm really looking forward to getting to. Okay, questions 8 and 9 I remember not really. Question number 8 definitely not answering last time, and I haven't got an answer for it now. So question number 8 is newest fictional crush. I don't get crushes on book characters. You'd think maybe a little bit more now that I'm reading a bit more romance, but yeah, some of the guys are hot, but they're characters. They're not real people, so yeah, that's a no. And then question number 9 is newest fictional character, newest favourite fictional character, and again I haven't really got an answer for this one either, so I'm going to move on. Number 10 is a book that made you cry, and it didn't really make me cry, but I was quite upset by it, and it was The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate. Okay, I'm back. I had to empty my memory card and then we got a delivery. So I think I was talking about The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate. Yeah, so this is like the book that made me cry. Now this didn't make me cry, but it did make me really upset. I listened to this on audio in April, and this is a book about a gorilla who works in like a mall type zoo, or zoo/circus sort of thing, and it's about the conditions that he lives in and the fact that he wants to be free basically, and sort of the animals around him and stuff like that. It was really heartfelt, really sweet. I do remember saying at the time that I read it that I really wanted to buy my nephew a copy of it as well, my nephews, because I think they'll really enjoy it. And yeah, so that's the closest one that's come to making me cry. Okay, question number 11 is a book that made you happy, and I'm going to talk about Eat Up, Food, Appetite and Eating What You Want by Ruby Tandoh. I picked this up on the recommendation of, who was it now? God, my mind's gone totally blank. Okay, I remembered. It was from Lauren, from Lauren in the Book. She read this last year, I believe, and really enjoyed it. And I picked up a copy of this on audio, and that is a great way of consuming this book, I would definitely say. So this is Ruby Tandoh's non-fiction book where she writes all about eating well basically. So there are lots of different aspects to the book. She talks about eating for health, eating for your mood. She talks about the different cultures and food, and different ways that food is ingrained in our society. And she just had so many really great things to say, and the book was interspersed with lots of recipes. So I do plan on buying a physical copy of this book so that I can cook some of those recipes, because she would say, she would sort of say what the method was for making these recipes, and I was listening to that and my mouth was watering. And I do want to pick up, she's got a couple of different recipe books that are out as well, which I really want to pick up. So yeah, this was just a joy to listen to. It's narrated by her as well, which in my opinion just makes it even better. And yeah, it was a book that made me really happy. Question number 12 is most beautiful book that you've bought this year, and I'm going to go with Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. And the reason I think this is so beautiful is because of the naked hardback. And it's the same with Wondersmith. Wondersmith has got a similar kind of design feature on the naked hardback, and I just think it's got really beautiful yellow end pages with umbrellas, which I think is beautiful. It's got all this lovely gold sort of foiling and a really lovely cover design, and yeah, I think so much effort and work went into this, and I think it's really, really beautiful. Question number 13 is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Everything. I don't want to name any specific books because I haven't got like a list that I need to get through this year or anything like that. So yeah, I'm just going to say everything for this question basically, as many as I can. And question number 14 is favourite book community member, and I'm going to mention Sarah from Steeped in Books. I just love her. I mean, there, you know, Karen from Rather Rereading as well, and you know, there are a few others, but Sarah in particular, I'm going to mention her because I just think she has got me onto the romance train, and I've been really enjoying what I've been reading. I've been really enjoying getting back into that genre again, and she's basically the reason that I've got back into it. So I really do want to give a massive shout out to her. If you're not subscribed to her channel yet, or you haven't checked out any of her videos, I will leave a link to her channel down below. You really should, she's amazing. And that's it guys, those are all of the questions in the tag. I'm not going to tag anybody specifically, because I think loads of people just do this tag at this time of year, and I've seen lots of people do it that I'm subscribed to already. So if you're somebody who's watching this and you want to do it, then just consider yourself tagged. I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments below. What were some of your answers to these questions? What's the best book that you've read this year? And you know, have you read any of the books that I mentioned? Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.